What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're going to talk about the idea of Xbox versus PlayStation, but not in the typical sense. We're not going to be comparing console sales or who has the better exclusives, but instead, it's interesting that now we have official confirmation that Microsoft games actually don't run as good on Xbox as they do the PS5. Recently, of course, we've started to see the first wave of games leaving the Xbox and coming to the PlayStation 5, stuff like Sea of Thieves and Pentiment, Grounded, and of course, the craziness of Hi-Fi Rush. And now we have an actual technical breakdown that proves these Xbox exclusives that aren't exclusive anymore are better on PlayStation, which is such a strange circumstance. But let's take a look at the evidence and sort of pick this apart. Hi, I hope you're having a very great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so let me just start this off. What we're going to be discussing here is just the facts. Please do not get offended. Don't start to say that I want Xbox to explode or anything like that. No. We're going to be talking about this because I am a person that personally is voting with my wallet. They're bringing these Xbox exclusives to PlayStation, and I think this is cool. So I have been buying these games myself. I already did a video talking about Sea of Thieves on PS5. I've been buying these because I am trying to vote with my wallet. I think it is cool to see these games leaving Xbox and coming to PS5. But what's been crazy is that now Digital Foundry has been going through and testing these on an actual level, counting pixels, looking at frame rate, comparing resolutions, and across the board, all these Xbox exclusives actually look and run better on the PS5, which is such a shocking circumstance. Now, if you look at the replies, a lot of people are basically just saying, wow, great, I'm so glad I have a PS5. The best place to play Xbox games is not on Xbox. God. Some of these are, of course, a lot more savage than others, calling Xbox an embarrassment. Now, of course, the biggest thing is that everything's going to be best on PC. I play a lot of games on PC. I actually just did a big video about No Rest for the Wicked. I have a big deep dive review coming up soon for Another Crab's Treasure, which is going to be on Xbox Game Pass. That looks insane on the PC. Everything looks best on PC. That doesn't even need to be said. But if you're actually talking about PS5 versus Xbox, we now have very clear empirical evidence that for whatever reason, Xbox is having more luck, I guess you would say, putting the games on the PS5. So this has been wild because I think we're all still a bit in shock because it is interesting that Xbox is even bringing these to other platforms. I guess I'm still just impressed that we are seeing, the hundreds of billions of dollars now that Microsoft has spent on acquisition, buying Bethesda, buying Activision Blizzard. These deals are not just insane, they're just monumental. So the fact that they're still putting so much budget into trying to be third party as best as possible, it's still wild to see it happening. So basically what's been happening is that these people over at Digital Foundry have been doing these technical breakdowns for each of these to see how they look and play. And let me tell you, as a person that is personally playing Sea of Thieves now on PS5, holy heck does this game look good. It also looks good on Xbox, but man does it look actually technically better on the PS5. So here's what they said. Okay, Sea of Thieves continues the pattern of an analysis expert that the Xbox versions are lower performing than the PS5 builds of the game when you look at it under a microscope. These are very intriguing results. Mirroring the same situation that happened with Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves has noticeably sharper, more detailed shadows on the PS5. The advantage is consistent whether they've examined up close or over long distances. The PS5 is matching the highest quality shadow presets of even the PC version of the game. The PS5 also allows better distance and foliage detail, even comparable to ultra settings on PC. This to me, I'll admit, is completely, it's actually shocking to me that we're seeing these games not just run good, but run better. I mean, I'm still shocked by this because Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush also actually had some curious improvements over the equivalent Xbox Series X version. I guess part of what's so wild about this is that the fact that these are both current gen consoles, they both have solid states, they both have incredibly good visual output. It is weird that the PlayStation 5, for every game at this point, every time the PS5 version runs better. Third-party games, first-party games, everything actually runs way better on the PS5. And I guess I'm continually confused by this because on what technical backend, what is holding back the Xbox? 60 FPS just seems to be so much more achievable on the PlayStation 5 across the board. I mean, every Xbox exclusive at this point, or at least a chunk of them, are stuck at 30 FPS. Hellblade 2 is going to be 30 FPS. Starfield is 30 FPS. Redfall is 30 FPS. Every time you get a PS5 exclusive, though, it almost always runs at 60 FPS, or it at least has a 60 FPS mode where you can choose if it's intended to run at 4K. You can go, no, I want it at 1080p. I prefer it at 60 FPS. It is interesting to me that the Microsoft console is not underpowered. The Xbox Series X is definitely not, last gen, but what is it that causes these games to run better on the PlayStation 5? The prevailing theory has predominantly been just the idea that if it comes down to investing your resources in a console that's sold 20 million systems like the Xbox has, or if you want to invest in the thing that's sold 60 million consoles like the PlayStation 5, people are typically going to invest more development costs into the system where you're probably going to sell more copies. But in this case, that doesn't make sense. Like, actually consider that. When we're talking about this, Xbox, you would think, is going to put the most development into their own system. And yet, even now, games run better on the PlayStation 5. Does that mean the PS5 is just easier to develop for? Does that mean the coding, the accessibility, the back-end infrastructure is just better when it comes to Sony's system? I guess so. I still think that the Xbox is good, and Xbox Game Pass is obviously the best deal in gaming, but I think what's showing is something is holding back the Xbox. Like on an actual fundamental systems level, something is holding back the Xbox. Is it the fact that there's an Xbox Series S and an X? Is it the fact that having different systems to develop for is just more difficult? Or is it actually, in some tiny way that I don't understand, more underpowered? What happens when we get the PlayStation 5 Pro? The PS5 Pro is rumored to be coming out here in just a couple months, and I'll be honest, as good as these Xbox games already look on PS5, at this point, everybody, if you're going to be buying a PS5 game or an Xbox game on the PS5, these are going to be the definitive versions of Xbox games. This is probably going to be running at 120 FPS, standard, hard-locked, looking beautiful on the PlayStation 5 Pro, which is still just so strange to think about. I am excited for Hellblade 2. I'm excited to play all sorts of Xbox exclusives. I'm excited to eventually play the Starfield DLC whenever that gets revealed, but there's a bunch of rumors already that Starfield is currently in deep development for the PS5 as well. I'm not saying the Xbox sucks. I'm not saying PlayStation 5 rules, go by that. I am just saying that we're in an interesting circumstance where if you're having to pick a console, a home console, it's probably a good bet to pick up a PlayStation. If you're talking handheld, of course, the Nintendo Switch still rocks, although I personally strongly prefer the Steam Deck. I think we're just in a weird spot where I think that Xbox needs to figure out how to catch up to PlayStation, not just in console sales, but at this point, apparently even technical prowess. But What do you guys think about this? Is it actually a big deal that Xbox games run more poorly? They don't run bad, but they definitely are a step down from any other system. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. This headline is still wild to me. Another Xbox first-party game looks better on PS5. I gotta have a thumbnail of me be going, that's my thumbnail face.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.